Today we're looking at the Pythagorean Theorem. So we're going to apply the Pythagorean Theorem to right triangles, and we're also going to look at the formula of the area of an equilateral triangle. So the Pythagorean Theorem, in words, just says that in a right triangle, the sum of the squares of the lengths of the legs is equal to the square of the length of the hypotenuse. So the theorem that you probably have heard of is that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So the Pythagorean theorem can be thought of this. One leg squared plus the other leg squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared. So this is an illustration of the Pythagorean theorem. So here's your hypotenuse, and this hypotenuse has a length of 5. So 5 squared is 25. Here's one leg, and it's 4. And 4 squared is 16. There's 16 boxes here. And then this length is 3. And 3 squared is 9. Well, 9 plus 16 is equal to 25. So the opposite of the converse of the Pythagorean theorem is also true. If you have the sum of the squares of the length of two sides of a triangle, it's going to be the square of the third side, the length of the third side. Okay, then the triangle is a right triangle. Alright, so now we have a formula for the area of an equilateral triangle. So remember, equilateral means that all sides are the same. So the formula is the square root of 3 over 4 times the square of the length of one side. And so it doesn't matter what side because all the sides should be the same since an equilateral triangle. So you have this formula here. Area is equal to one of the sides squared times the square root of 3 over 4. Alright, so here is an equilateral triangle. So notice that all the sides are S. So this is where the formula comes from. Okay, so here is the height, h, and then this side right here is half of s, right? Half of s. So you have h squared, that's one leg, plus 1/2 s squared, that's another leg, equals s squared, that's your hypotenuse. So h squared plus 1/2 s squared equals s squared. So if you were to go ahead and distribute this 2 exponent, you would get 1/2 squared, which is 1/4, times s squared. Now, if you go ahead and you get rid of this denominator by multiplying everything by 4. And when you multiply everything by 4, you get 4h squared plus s squared equals 4s squared. And then you go ahead and move this s squared to the other side by subtracting s squared from both sides. So now you have 4h squared equals 3s squared. That means that h squared is equal to 3/4 times s squared. So we divided 4 from both sides. Which means that h is equal to s times the square root of 3 over 2. So now that we know what h is, we can use our formula for the area of a triangle, which is 1/2 base times height. So that's 1/2, our base is s. And then we just solved for h. We said that h was equal to s times the square root of 3 over 2. So that means if we simplify this, s and s is s squared, and then 2 and 2 is 4, we get that formula for area of an equilateral triangle. So let's try to find the area of this equilateral triangle LMN. So one of our sides is equal to 7, so we can use our formula. Area is equal to one side squared times the square root of 3 over 4. So we'll plug in 7 for s, so 7 squared is 49. So our answer is 49 times the square root of 3 over 4. And you can go ahead and leave it just like this. You do not have to plug that into your calculator. It doesn't simplify, so this is the answer. Alright, so the reason why we use Pythagorean theorem is because it's helpful in everyday life. So for example, let's say you have a screen door that is 36 by 80 inches. We want to find the length of the diagonal brace. So you know how on a screen door, like they have those the X that is like two X's, and it kind of makes sure that the screen door doesn't blow through, right? So if we want to calculate what that diagonal brace is, we can use the Pythagorean theorem. Because if this is our screen door, and that is the diagonal brace, and it's a 36 by 80, that means that this is your 36, that's your base, and your height is 80. And we want to calculate the C, or this diagonal. So this is a right triangle, which means we can use Pythagorean theorem. So 36 squared plus 80 squared is supposed to be equal to C squared. So 36 squared and plus 80 squared is 7,696. Then you square root both sides and you get 87.7 inches. All right, go ahead and try some problems on your own.